This Cyprus village is the setting for the authentic wedding you are about to see. Surrounded by vineyards, which provide the main source of income for its 400 inhabitants, Θελετρα, in the Paphos district, has retained its traditional beauty, unchanged in the modern world.
Ήρθα κουμέρα Μαρία να σε καλέσω στους γάμους της κόρης μας.
Ωρες καλές. Ποιος να βοηθήσει.
Ευχαριστούμε σε πολλά.
Inviting the guests to the wedding begins a week before. Bread, prepared specially and decorated with sesame seed, is an ancient and unusual wedding invitation. Everyone in the village must be given this personal and traditional invitation. The red-roofed houses of Θελετρα, with their courtyards covered in vines, rise from the narrow cobbled streets. Today, one stands out. It is the bride's house, the wedding house. Wheat, once symbol of the ancient Greek goddess Demeter, and sacred even now, is cleaned carefully in the shade of the mulberry tree in the courtyard of the bride's house. Once cleaned, the wheat is strewn on a sheet on the ground. The groom crosses himself and begins the pounding of the wheat. Men and women alternate at the task. The pounding continues rhythmically until the wheat is well crushed. It is then poured into shallow wooden troughs. The young woman taking the trough murmurs the wish, "Let the power of God enter." The musicians lead the way to the village spring, followed by the girls and the rest of the villagers. The crushed wheat is washed 7 times in the clean water of the spring, which, according to the song, has the power to withstand the devil. It is Saturday, the day before the wedding, and the entire village gathers at the spring. The women perform a dignified dance with the washed wheat. The wheat will be cooked with meat on a slow fire throughout Saturday night. This is resi, a special dish which is served at weddings. More will be cooked on Sunday. Sunday morning, and the bride's friends come to the house to decorate the pastos, derived from the ancient Greek word pastas, which means a wedding chamber. The bride's own handwork, beautifully woven and embroidered, is used to decorate the wedding chamber. The wedding koulouria, bread baked in fantastic shapes, are hung in place. A koulouri in the shape of a snake is hung in the center. The snake today, as in ancient times, symbolizes benediction. Fresh basil completes the decoration. Decorated with a simple grandeur, the wedding chamber is now ready for the important event. The sewing of the bed has begun in the courtyard. The sheets are placed in a basket and danced around the courtyard. Seven women, who have only been married once, sew the mattress. Crosses of red ribbon are sewn in the four corners and the center to protect the young couple. The wife of the village priest and the bride's mother cross the sheets over the mattress. The crossing is repeated for the pillows, which are thrown from one end of the mattress to the other. A small boy is rolled on the bed, so that the wish for an heir will be granted to the young couple. The groom enriches the bed by throwing coins to the four corners and the center. The parents and guests do the same. The coins are gathered in a red kerchief and given to the bride. The musicians also receive their share. The best man rolls up the bed and dances with it on his shoulders. When the dance is over, the bed is taken to the wedding chamber. Now comes the shaving of the groom. The village barber shaves the groom to the accompaniment of traditional music and song. The groom's clothes in a basket are blessed by the village priest. The best man picks up the basket and dances with it. The basket is passed over the groom's head 3 times to symbolize the consecration of the clothes as wedding garments. 2 other friends of the groom dance with the basket of clothes. The priest blesses the clothes by crossing them over the groom. The tying of the sash by the priest symbolizes virginity. The mother does the same, saying, "Tying the sash and untying it, I give you my blessing." Now it is the turn of the bride's clothes. They too are placed in a basket, which is danced around with dignity. The bride waits in her room, and will receive the clothes when the dance ends. The priest repeats the same ceremony as that conducted with the groom. He ties a kerchief round the bride's waist. Her mother ties and unties it 3 times. They set out for the church with the musicians at the head of the procession, followed by people carrying the wedding wreaths, rings, and the embroidered cushion. Then the priest and the groom with his father. A little further back, the bride with her father. The tiny, humble village church fills up. The embroidered cushion on which the Bible will be placed, the basket with the wreaths, the rings, the bread and wine, the basket with wheat, cottonseed, and almonds, are all placed on the holy table. The wedding ceremony begins. The wedding wreaths are made out of fresh olive branches, threaded with red ribbon. In ancient times, the olive tree was the sacred tree of the goddess Athena. At a wedding, it symbolizes the transfer of holiness and robustness to the young couple. The red ribbon symbolizes strength and fertility. Bread and wine, Holy Communion for bride and groom, a blessing on their future union. The bride and groom are led in Isaiah's dance around the church and are pelted with wheat, cottonseed and almonds, representing abundance, riches and fertility which the congregation wish for the couple. The ceremony is completed when the priest leans the heads of the young couple together and kisses the wedding wreaths. The parents and close relatives also kiss the wreaths. As the procession makes its way through the village, women standing at their front doors stop the priest and newly married couple with burning olive leaves in incense holders and sprinkle them with rose water. At the door of the house, the bride's mother also welcomes them with smoking olive leaves and rose water. The groom throws a pomegranate against the lintel of the door. The pomegranate in ancient Greece was the symbol of the goddess Hera, goddess of marriage. The bride and groom receive the congratulations of friends and relatives in the pastos, the wedding chamber. The groom sprinkles rose water in the hand of each guest who congratulates them. The wedding feast has already begun in the courtyard. On this day, the dances are only for men. On the Monday morning, the bride's mother bids the young couple good morning with 2 boiled pigeons and an embroidered kerchief as a gift. The pigeon, sacred bird of the goddess Aphrodite, represents love, and the kerchief represents virginity. The priest brings their heads together and cuts a special cake made out of wheat, sesame, and honey. This too is a survival of an ancient custom, the honey cake representing the new life, which is created by the union of the couple. More resi has been cooking slowly through the night and is served at Monday's festivities. The young couple dance first. Then the women take over, because Monday is the day of the bride. In the dance, the bride leads and the groom follows. The wedding gifts, embroidered kerchiefs, are placed on the shoulders of the bride and groom by parents, guests and villagers. The girls of the village dance with appropriate modesty. The festivities continue under the light of the moon until dawn. At last, the musicians get up to play the final refrain, a signal that the feast is over. The guests make their farewells and leave.